phones. Babylons can't crack the code.
Spring football ended for everyone just a few weeks ago, and a hot topic among the spring football season is all the newcomers on campus, from the transfers to the high school recruits, as many people want to know how these new players are doing in the programs and who's going to be that immediate impact player for their team in 2023. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about true freshmen that I believe will be immediate impact players during the 2023 college football season. I've made this video before pertaining to the 23 class. However, this is the first time that I'm making this video post spring ball and post National Signing Day from February. Before I move on, remember to smash that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Now let's get into it. The first player that I'm going to be talking about in today's video is Clemson defensive lineman Peter Woods. Woods was rated as a 5-star recruit in the 23 class, number 33 player in the nation, and the number 3 defensive lineman in the class after a stellar high school career with 177 total tackles, 50 tackles for loss, 24.5 sacks, and 2 forced fumbles. He's been making a lot of noise as being a potential impact player for Clemson, really ever since the Under Armour All-American game before he ever stepped foot on campus, as he was honestly one of the best players at the Under Armour All-American game, and he's been making a lot of noise all spring long at Clemson. Not to mention, he already has some very good size to play right away, standing in at 6'2", 300 pounds. He has the size that you want from an interior defensive lineman, and he's someone that has a lot of athleticism, ferocity, and plays with a violent pressure about him while he's on the gridiron, and he's someone you can definitely see playing a lot as a freshman. Is he going to start? That's yet to be seen, but I bet he's going to have some kind of role with Clemson in 2023. Transitioning on to the next player, I have Texas A&M running back Reuben Owens. Just like Peter Woods, Reuben Owens was also a 5-star in the 23 class, as he was rated as the number 28 player and number 3 running back in the class that had offers from pretty much everywhere in the country with a total of 43 offers. He was also a star in high school with over 7,000 rushing yards and 101 rushing touchdowns over the 4-year span of his high school career. Texas A&M just lost their most productive offensive player, in my opinion, who just happened to be their starting running back from 2022 in Devin Achane, who rushed for 1,102 yards, averaged nearly 6 yards a carry, and had a total of 8 rushing touchdowns. This is going to bring about a running back competition going into the fall, in which I believe Reuben Owens is going to be in the thick of. Of course, they have returning running backs such as Amari Daniels and Le'Veon Moss, but I believe that Reuben Owens is going to be someone who's going to be hard to keep off the field. With his speed, his cutting ability, and ultimately how he can break tackles, I believe Reuben Owens is going to carve out some kind of role for the 12th man. Moving on to the next player, I'm going to be talking about Colorado cornerback Kermani McLean. McLean was rated as a 5-star prospect, number 13 player in the nation, and the number 1 cornerback in this class. Unlike the other players I'm going to be mentioning in today's video, or that I've mentioned up to this point, Kermani McLean was not a participant for spring ball for Colorado, as he was not an early enrollee, and in fact committed to Colorado on National Signing Day on February 1st. Now, not being an early enrollee can hinder some players from being an immediate impact as early as they want to be earlier in the season. However, that may not affect McLean, as like I just said, he was the number 1 rated cornerback, but it's also the fact that Colorado is having a massive roster turnover, and there's going to be a lot of players going into fall who are still going to be learning that defensive system that Dion has in place, especially in that secondary where they've had a lot of transfers come in and out. I believe that McLean is going to have some kind of role with Colorado during the 2023 season. Whether he's going to be a starter or not is still going to be unclear, and you can have 2 to 3 starters on the defensive side of the ball at cornerback, whether you want to have 2 on the outside and a nickel. And of course, more than likely, Kermani is going to be an outside cornerback, especially with his build. A long, lengthy cornerback at 6'2", about 170 pounds. He could add a little bit more weight, but at a standpoint, he is a player that has some great size, lengthwise, and he has a lot of attributes that you believe you can develop and bring even more into as a great player in your program. Staying on the defensive side of the ball for this next player, I'm going to be talking about TCU linebacker Jonathan Bax. In the 23 class, Bax was rated as a 3-star, number 475 player in the nation, and the number 47 edge prospect. And he's making a lot of noise for the Horned Frogs in their spring ball. He can play with his hand in the ground and off the edge, and right now he's playing at the right outside linebacker role for the Horned Frogs, and he's expected to have some kind of role with them on the defensive side of the ball. As just after spring, people are already saying he's a shoo-in to be a 2 deep player, and he was even taking reps with the ones. TCU is coming off a great season in which they made it to the college football playoff national title game, but they are losing a lot of production on both sides of the ball, and especially on defense, a side where they had a lot of success throughout the season, and there's going to be a big opportunity for a lot of guys who may have not had their name out there quite yet that are going to have a shot to make their name on the college football scene, and Jonathan Bax could be one of those young players, a true freshman at that could make his name heard at TCU in 2023. For this next player, he was one of the most electrifying players in the 23 class, and that's USC wide receiver Zachariah Branch. Branch was rated as a 5-star, top 5 player in the nation, and the number 1 wide receiver in the said 23 class. Now, Zach Branch was an early enrollee for USC, and he impressed many people throughout the spring and in their spring game that they had. I believe Zach Branch is going to have a pretty good role with USC in 2023, as I believe with his hands, route running abilities, his change of speed, his cutting abilities, his elusiveness, and of course, his speed overall. He's one of the fastest players in this 23 class. He's going to be someone, it's going to be hard to keep him off the field. And I know that USC has a lot of great options at wide receiver, and I'm not saying that Zach Branch is going to be their wide receiver 1 in 2023. I know they just lost Jordan Addison, but if you look at that offense, a lot of receivers thrive in Lincoln Riley's offense, and it's a very good offense to be in if you're a quarterback and a wide receiver, of course. And I believe Branch is going to carve out some role, and knowing that Caleb Williams is there, the best quarterback in college football in my opinion, someone that I believe is going to be the number 1 pick in the 24 NFL draft, a quarterback who spreads it out a lot to his wide receivers, Zach Branch can definitely make some noise in 23 if he stays healthy and everything goes to plan. The final player I'm going to be talking about in today's video is Alabama offensive tackle Kaden Proctor. Proctor was rated as a top 10 player and the number 1 offensive tackle in the 23 class. Now, offensive linemen can be a little tricky predicting sometimes how good a player is going to be in their career, if they're going to be immediate impact or not, and just how they're going to pan out. But looking at a player like Kaden Proctor, you have to point out that he's going to be someone that's going to be playing some ball very early on, as he has all the potential in the world to do it. In my opinion, he's the best offensive lineman in the 23 class, and if you look at his size, he already has day 1 size to play. 6'7", 330 pounds, and he carries it very well. With offensive linemen, oftentimes in recruiting, you're either going to have to put some weight on them, or sometimes they're even going to have to lose weight in some cases. Finding people that are already day 1 size ready, it is pretty hard to come by, but Kaden Proctor is one of those guys. And he seemed to have a very strong spring for the Crimson Tide, and he's going to be battling out for one of those tackle spots. And if he can win that job as a true freshman, you can guarantee that Kaden Proctor is going to have a very successful career at Alabama, and possibly even be a shoo-in pick to be a future first rounder. Well guys, if you made this far in today's video, drop something down in the comment section below. What players do you think I missed out on that you believe will be immediate impact players in 2023? Obviously, I only named 6 players, and there's going to be more than just those 6, so leave them down in the comment section below. And before you head out, remember to smash that like button, turn on those post notifications, and subscribe if you haven't already. B. Kelly out.